Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Wednesday, July 16th. I'm Sarith Hawk. It's peak summer tourism season at Yosemite National Park, but this year there is no reservation system to manage the traffic flow.
I think we have to find the right balance of use and preservation. That's always been the problem.
It has opened a debate over public access and protecting wilderness. We speak to a longtime park ranger about how Yosemite is managing the changes. But first, these news headlines. A tax measure that would have funded roads and transit in Fresno County may not appear on the November ballot after all. The Fresno County Board of Supervisors voted this week to delay the measure so county staff can study it first. The so-called Better Roads, Safer Streets measure already had enough signatures to appear on the ballot and only needed approval by the county to move forward. The initiative was backed by community residents and a host of Fresno area leaders, but it had met opposition from early on. If the tax measure does not appear on the November ballot, it would mean a current county road tax, known as Measure C, would expire next year. Kern County public health officials conducted a sweep of unauthorized food vendors this week. It was in response to dozens of community complaints. Health inspectors issued a number of cease and desist orders to vendors, and some were given citations for improper health permits. The operation targeted the areas of Lamont, Arvin, Mettler, and Frazier Park, and involved the Kern County Sheriff's Office. California is among several states that switched to daylight saving time during summer, but Congress has passed a bill that would make daylight saving time permanent. That would mean no more changing clocks an hour in the spring and fall. But as KVPR's Justin Sacher explains, ditching the switch may take some adjustment.
If the Sunshine Protection Act becomes law, it ends the twice-yearly time changes by making daylight saving time or summertime year-round. But that will mean some changes we are not used to. In January, sunrise in the valley would change from about 7:10 a.m. to 8:10 a.m. That puts many commuters and school children in the dark at times that had been previously daylight. And it's not just daylight. Thick fog that lasts until 10 a.m. would instead last until 11. With KVPR News, I'm Justin Sacher.
Not all states currently observe daylight saving time, and this bill still allows state legislatures to opt out before it becomes law. The healthcare operator Common Spirit Health is shaking up 2 health facilities in Kern County. The company owns Dignity Health, and according to TV station KERO, it will lay off 57 employees at Bakersfield Memorial Hospital. The layoffs come as the company works through operating losses. A family medicine clinic operated by the same company will also close in Tehachapi at the end of August, but for separate reasons.
Tomorrow marks 1 year since Congress rescinded funding for public media. For the first time in history, public radio stations across the country were left without a key lifeline. We can't overstate the significance of that moment. But KVPR is still here, and we're not going anywhere. On the anniversary of the funding rescission, we're asking you to donate to keep KVPR strong in the Valley. Become a monthly member today at kvpr.org. And thank you.
And now to our main story. We're right in the middle of peak season at Yosemite National Park, drawing tourists, hikers, and campers from all over the world. But before catching views of the park's iconic waterfalls and rock faces, many visitors are facing a long line of cars at the entrance. With 4 million visitors coming to the park each year, it's crunch time during the summer. And that can mean traffic gridlocks, limited parking, and crowded trails. All of this on top of deep staffing cuts and the sudden end to a reservation system is affecting the flow of visitors. I spoke to lifelong Yosemite resident Laurel Munson Boyers. She was the first woman to conduct full-time mounted backcountry patrols as a ranger and was Yosemite's first female wilderness manager. She's also the author of a new book, Across Yosemite's Wilderness. Boyers has an intimate perspective on the changes happening at the park right now. She talks about what she thinks needs to happen to preserve both access and wilderness in this crown jewel of the national park system.
Yosemite is, as you say, it's a crown jewel. It's near large population centers. It's gorgeous. It's always been heavily used. The road system, particularly in Yosemite Valley, was a 2-lane road that was put in 1927. It wasn't meant for these kinds of traffic pulses and this kind of use. So the first problems with congestion and crowding came really in Yosemite Valley, with people getting tangled up with looking for places to park. So it has been a problem, and the park has worked very hard for a number of years specifically on this problem. It was identified in the 1980 General Management Plan. That plan, however, did not address day use. And what we're facing now is this influx of day use that is a combination of lots of things, but dramatically due to the increase in accommodations outside the park.
And I just want to clarify, when you're talking about day use, that means you're going into the park for the day and you're just sort of driving around or hiking and spending the day there and then leaving, correct?
Right. The overnight use is controlled by 3 carrying capacities: the number of beds in the hotels, the number of wilderness permits, and the number of sites in the campgrounds. So overnight use is controlled. It's been rationed that way by not building more of those items, no more beds, no more campgrounds, no more wilderness permits. And the wilderness permit system has been under a quota system since the late 1970s. But day use has never been controlled. And that's what we're dealing with right now, is a boom in day use. And particularly post-COVID, there's been a gradual increase in park use. So what many of us are concerned about is funding is going down and down and down, and use is going up. And is the park able, the outcome of increased tourism and the use of the park without staffing to watch over it is a concern. It's a concern to people like me that care deeply about the park and the long-term value of a place like this that is essentially a sanctuary for wildness, that this dual mandate of allowing the public in, but we also have a mandate to protect for future generations. And that's really the concern that we have, is watching this from an uncontrolled perspective.
So we're seeing on social media a lot of footage, right, of people, a lot of long lines of cars going into the park, people crowding, all the different views in Yosemite Valley. You live there still. What are you seeing?
Well, use in Yosemite is a bell curve. There's no question about it. Which means that it's some places and at some times of the year and sometimes of the day, it's not crowded. And then it goes up and it does the top of the bell, and that causes congestion and crowding and the kinds of pictures that you see. And it depends on the time and place and season about how intense that is, how problematic that is. It's not crowded everywhere in the park. It's not crowded every second in the park. There's times when you can come through the gate and there's no one in line. So one thing that I thought was kind of interesting is we're seeing a lot of media attention to the congestion and crowding. And I think that it's scaring people away a little bit. I think that there's people that are saying, I don't want to come to Yosemite because it's too crowded. So I don't even think that the use figures are showing what actually could happen with these completely open gates, with this unlimited visitation. So it's kind of a mix.
In your book titled Across Yosemite's Wilderness, you bring up the point that what most people really think of when they think of Yosemite are the majestic views in the Yosemite Valley. But that's only a very small section of the whole park. There's
Right.
a whole nother 1,100 square miles. How would you recommend people get out and experience other parts of the park while also maintaining its integrity?
Somehow we have to get through this entrance backlog a bit. And I still believe in a modified reservation system. I think we can tweak the existing reservation system. This is my personal opinion, but I think we can have a reservation system that still allows for a great deal of access and good quality access. But you're right, most people want to go to Yosemite Valley. And one of the things that the park is doing now is putting in electronic sensors in parking lots. And that's what's happening to the big four: Hetch Hetchy, Mariposa Grove, Yosemite Valley, and Glacier Point. But as you say, it's a big park. There are a lot of other places to go. Many of the trailheads take off from those areas. So you do have to deal with those main gathering areas. And what I'm concerned with is there's going to be impacts to those areas. As you shuffle people out of Yosemite Valley, there's going to be impacts to those other areas.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned believing in at least a modified reservation system. I want to bring in Congressman Tom McClintock, who represents the Yosemite area and a large portion of the Sierra. He has referred to Yosemite's reservation system as, quote, restrictive and disastrous. He argues that it actually complicates access to the park. And we have a clip of him here addressing Congress about this issue in June. I just wanted to listen to it and then get your reaction.
To them, these restrictive measures are the cure to crowds. Yet to the public, the reservation system meant that an average of 700 cars a day, filled with families that had driven hours to enjoy a day at Yosemite, were turned away at the gates for lack of reservations. And meanwhile, inside the park, parking lots sat half empty.
In your experience, is this true? What are your thoughts on his comments?
Well, he has a point in some of his points are valid. As I said, Yosemite is a bell curve of use, and he's right. There are times when parking lots are empty, you betcha. And as I just said, I am a proponent of the public using the park. It's important, but I think we have to find the right balance of use and preservation. That's always been the problem with the Park Service. It's our mandate. It's to provide for the public's use while preserving the park's resources. And it's a very tricky undertaking. And Mr. McClintock is, in my opinion, heavily influenced by the San Joaquin Valley, which has a large population and has a lot of businesses and people that want more access to the park. And his views are often, in my opinion, more in favor of use rather than preservation. And we all have our biases in this. As someone who has lived in the park all my life, and as someone who has traveled and spoken to wildland managers all over the world, there is a long-range component of this that I hope managers will be very cognizant of when they do these things. And to open it wide open is one response to his way of thinking. But I just hope that although park staff has been cut by 25%, that we have a way to watch what the repercussions of unbridled access are.
Laurel Munson Boyers, former wilderness manager at Yosemite National Park and author of the book Across Yosemite's Wilderness. Thank you so much for your perspective and for joining me.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
And that's today's show. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR. I'm Sarith Hawk. Find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
Each story you hear on Planet Money starts with a question. What happens if we refund tariffs? Why are groceries so expensive? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious, because the forces shaping our world can be hard to see. Follow NPR's Planet Money wherever you get your podcasts and start seeing how the economy really works.